The Agents of Slaughter back with another video on dark crime, and this one poses the question, what is Daisy's destruction and who is Peter Scully? Strap yourself in, let's fucking take a ride and have a look. Daisy's Destruction is a series of 3 or 4 short videos, apparently each around 5 to 9 minutes long, that were created in 2012 and which show the brutal torture and rape of 2 young girls aged 12 and 11 and a toddler aged 18 months. However, generally the name Daisy's Destruction is referencing only one part of this series, and that is the part which involves only Daisy, the latter of the 3 girls I just mentioned there. The perpetrator in Daisy's Destruction, or at least that's the person actually carrying out the acts of brutality on this 18-month-old, is a masked and naked 19-year-old female who goes by the name of Liesl Margallo. In an introductory scene, she was referred to as the mistress of the victims, where viewers of these videos were invited to witness the, and I quote, mental ruin of Daisy. That small little fragment at the end there, even on its own, the idea, the concept to sit and watch the mental ruination of a toddler is quite fucking barbaric enough, even in its own little entity. In fact, I don't think barbaric is strong enough a word. I'm gonna go and see if I can find a more fitting word. Bestial, monstrous, and inhumane, those are similar adjectives to barbaric that perhaps in this sense maybe sound a little more fitting. I don't know. I suppose that's all subjective, which words best suit which crimes and behaviours in general. Peter Scully was the one responsible, or the main protagonist for the series of horrific videos, directing them from behind the camera. Scully met 14-year-old Carmen Alvarez when she was working as a child prostitute in the Philippines and renamed her Angel. This sort of shit is so rife, by the sounds of it, in this part of the world in Southeast Asia, that it's almost fucking not real. It almost sounds not real. It's so prevalent. He had ran to the Philippines after embezzling millions of dollars from real estate operations and stock markets back in his native country of Australia. Initially, Angel was raped repeatedly, however, it would seem she suffered some sort of Stockholm syndrome, and this became entangled in a complex relationship with her captor turned partner of sorts, so by proxy she became a collaborator with this guy. Stockholm syndrome being a condition where somebody that has been held captive garners complicated feelings, close feelings of affection and such for those or the person who has taken them captive, held them hostage, held them against their will. The Daisy's Destruction videos have been called the worst shit that's ever found its way onto the internet. That's a claim that comes alongside a couple of different things, even the couple of things I've done videos for on this channel. But this definitely sounds like different level. When doing a wee bit of research into Peter Scully and what this Daisy's Destruction video was, you would see, and I don't even know if it's actual forums or such, it's like when you search on Google and you get a similar question and you can click it and you get an answer and such. It was something like that. And you get these forums of people just discussing what this video was, or what apparently had happened, and who Peter Scully was, and you'd get people asking, like, has anyone actually watched this shit? Simply out of, like, that morbid curiosity and just, like, what the fuck was going on, much like I've done for a couple other videos I've got on my channel. But this is certainly fucking next level fucking shit, like, the top fucking tier of absolute savagery. It's It's pretty fucking crazy. So like, what I mean is, this is above my fucking pay grade for like, yeah, I'll go and fucking try and find that fucking shit to watch. I've done a wee bit of reading and I've read some of what is apparently in that from witnesses, and that's enough. That's enough for me. I'm not, I'm happy is probably not the correct word, but for lack of a better term right now, happy to do the Luka Magnotta video, say, or the Dnepro Petrov's Maniac video. I'm, for lack of a better term, happy to look at that stuff, to do videos on for people that don't want to watch that, yet want to know what's in it. But I've just fucking left this one by a fucking mile. I've left it to just reading a couple of people that stated, say, the odd clip of this would be shared to Facebook or YouTube before getting taken down, or Instagram, or what the fuck ever. So that's a long way around saying, if you don't want to hear bits of what is apparently in this fucking video, Daisy's destruction, then skip forward to whatever I put at this point, the number, the time, jump forward to that. That'll be the next part that does not describe all this shit. So, according to witnesses, the videos consist of Margallo torturing the toddler in a number of different ways, including clipping her private parts with cloth clips, dropping hot wax on her, again including the private area, and using the toddler to satisfy her own needs. I've ripped that sentence from another page that I read that off, and I'm not even entirely sure what the fuck that means. For a start, I don't actually know what a cloth clip looks like, and I don't even want to fucking Google that, just because I don't need to see the shape of that clip to then visualise how that could clip onto any fucking part of the body. But specifically in this, it's just fucking unbelievably horrifying. To satisfy our own needs, again, I have no fucking idea what that means. It just sounds so fucking heinous in its own right. That won't do. I've also read something that stated sex toys were involved or used, that Daisy was tied upside down and beat with rope and other materials, sometimes for hours at a time. She was whipped, she was burned using lighters, and I've read she was even mutilated by having fingers amputated or cut, serrated, chewed up with wires. So this is fucking beyond the realm of all comprehension. I mean, it's so fucking psycho. Apparently, cops who saw these videos post Scully arrest, I suppose, or in the lead up to him being arrested, when they found this shit on the internet and had to find out who he fucking was. As far as I know, when this made its way onto the internet, it kicked up an absolute fucking shitstorm. Like, absolute shitstorm. If anything, the claim of worst the internet's ever seen, it sounds like this is that actual fucking video. But cops at the time would actually go on to suffer some form of post-traumatic stress disorder after viewing or seeing this video. They would suffer nightmares, sometimes for months at a time, and these were just symptoms and conditions that were not overly prevalent among these types of cops trained in this side of the field of work. You know, these are people that are hardened or tough or desensitized or whatever. They're usually good at their fucking job. They're on point, and this was so fucking heinous, so heinous that some of them ended up suffering mental issues of their own. So fucking brutal. So, Scully was the mastermind behind a massive paedophile ring which he ran from the Philippines, first acquiring his girlfriend's young sister before then looking to take in orphan kids from the street. By the way, in case you're not putting everything together, the girlfriend is Little Miss Stockholm Syndrome. The duo conspired and worked together to trap Margallo, who he renamed as something along the lines of Lovely. This pair would feature in many videos directed by Scully. They would target poorly or malnourished kids, knowing that offers of free shelter, food, and some give a fuckery would be too good for them to turn down. After all, there's so much so many impoverished kids in this part of the world that when someone looks like they care or they're being nice, apparently it's easy fucking pickings. In some instances, the kids were apparently openly handed to these people willingly by parents. Such was their desperation for their offspring to have a better living potential. One of these kids was Daisy, who had apparently been allowed to be taken from her financially stricken mother after some top-level convincing lies by Angel, who had reassured her that the toddler would be better off with her and her partner, Peter Scully. The other two girls I mentioned earlier from the Daisy's Destruction series were Lisa and Cindy, the latter of whom was found dead at Scully's residence, where the brutality was taking place. These videos would go on to be sold on the dark web for up to 10 grand a pop. In June 2018, Scully was found guilty of 1 count of human trafficking and 5 counts of rape and sentenced to life. At one point, the Filipino government were apparently thinking of bringing back the death penalty for this guy. Such was the level of his depravity. And apparently this guy was as normal as every other guy on the street. He had friends, he had a job, he had 2 kids of his own, he had a wife, and he was just nothing overly abnormal about him. Yet he had this other side, and apparently they were gonna bring the fucking death penalty back for him. And in the end, I suppose they never, because of what happens, or the next wee part I'm going to talk about. Various and multiple other charges remain against him in his savage conquest against children, including but not limited to the production and dissemination of child porn, torture and murder. Scully had apparently been the one who had murdered Cindy, and that was apparently videoed also. However, a fire in 2015 destroyed almost all of this evidence, something that had raised murmurs and ideas that Scully may have bribed a local cop, as corruption in the Philippines is rife as fuck. All the hefty crime are rife as fuck in the likes of these places, or it just seems to be able to happen one way or another. So many fucking legal loopholes, whether it's in part to do with Islamic religion as well, with young weddings and such. I've read that in my research for other videos also. It's just absolutely fucking crazy. Plus, not to mention, Peter Scully also apparently still has access to all the money that he swindled out of those companies back in Australia. So I could imagine that he would definitely be able to bribe a cop. It sounds like too obvious, and yet nothing can be done about it because there's no proof. So these charges remain against him on file, but because they're never going to probably be able to pursue a conviction against him on it, such as the lack or complete deficiency of evidence, I imagine that in part played on the decision to not bring back the death penalty, or if they did bring back the death penalty, to not fucking kill this guy. Although I would argue that a simple injection or hanging would be far too pleasant for this piece of fucking shit. Margallo was also imprisoned for life, thanks to a part she played in the whole thing. So the fact she suffered from Stockholm Syndrome does not then entitle her to some sort of same defensive weight as somebody like the star of my last video, Ed Gein. Ed was eventually found criminally insane following committing his crimes and therefore not able to be imprisoned but rather institutionalised, where his schizophrenia and psychosis led to hallucinations and trance-like states. Margallo, though suffering this different mental condition and being forced and manipulated by Scully to act the way she did, must have been deemed to be perfectly aware of what she was doing, as well as the significant everlasting damage she was inflicting on Daisy, not just psychologically, but physically. Daisy did survive after all, and the physical scars are apparently obvious to see up to this day. That's all, motherfuckers. Auf Wiedersehen.